Hey, y'all know the deal. This Big Fat back with another Road to Glory video. And we got part 2 of Miles Johnson, the 5-star quarterback who transferred to Bama his sophomore year. And boy, this nigga started out hot. And he just juked this nigga out of his fucking jockstrap. We're starting off hot, boys, to start the season off, man. Hey, if y'all fuck with it, like, comment, and subscribe. You know what I'm saying? Hey, this shit was a fucking banger to record. And my nigga already going to the sideline getting high fives and shit. Anyway, next drive, play action. He's right back out to the right side. He found the room, and boy, he didn't take any time to take off on these niggas. God damn, he was out that bitch. He might have just took a lick there, but on the very next power running back took it to the crib from like 60 yards out. Next play, we're running speed option right back out to the left, pitching it to my nigga, and he's treating those numbers like a fucking raceway. And he just stiff-armed that nigga, I ain't gonna lie. Anyways, very next play, right back out, gonna throw the tight end angle route. This nigga is taking some licks in the back of that pocket, but he's dropping some fucking dimes. He's dropping that shit in the bucket. Speed option again. This time we're gonna pitch it out late as hell, but he beat that corner out to the outside, and we got a 21-0 lead on these niggas. Holy shit. And the defense that's shutting these niggas out up to this point, and this nigga found a lane in the hashes, makes a defender miss, but he let the fucking ball go and gave these niggas the fucking ball back, man. And I ain't gonna lie, this was the turning point. This where Notre Dame started getting all the fucking momentum, I can't lie. Notre Dame ended up scoring 10 unanswered going into halftime, and my nigga gave them the ball right back on this 50-yard bomb of an interception, and all of a sudden our 21-point lead was cut down to just 5 in like 5 minutes, gang. I ain't gonna lie. We gave it right back to our running back right up the sideline, juked that nigga out of his fucking chin strap, and this nigga was bursting niggas the whole fucking season. This is just the beginning, I'll tell you. But we got our 2-score lead back. Defense went out and got a stop, and now he's finding room outside that pocket, and you know what time it is. He's right back outside that pocket with a fucking lane, and boy, he hasn't got touched yet. Makes a defender miss out inside the 45. He's gonna play action outside right again, and he's gonna find another lane, and he's gonna go walk in the end zone for his fucking, third touchdown of the game. Defense gave up another score. There's 3 minutes left, and he bombs away that bitch one more time. And now the Miles and the boys are up 3 scores once again with a 40-piece, and the defense got to stop. So the game was essentially over, but he wasn't done lighting their ass up as he found a nigga on the crossing. He got all the way down inside, deep in Notre Dame territory. Play action once again. Same route, same old shit. Gets right back in the end zone, and your boys will walk out of Notre Dame with a 19-point win. And they were starting the season off hot as fish grease. I ain't gonna lie. How did he knock that big ass elephant down? And after his 5 total touchdowns, he ended up getting his first brand deal from a steakhouse and another one right after it for jiu-jitsu. And our boy also won SEC Player of the Week, and my nigga got the National Player of the Week as well. But heading into week 2 against OSU, our boy would play action out to the left side and find his man on the deep crosser, and they were in OSU territory early and often, boy, as they're going to go play action right back to the left side. He has a man wide open by the numbers, and he's up and down the sideline, and the boys that were in first and goal that fucking fast in 2 plays, and he would end up play action them boys one more time into the end zone. They were up 7-0. Right back, the defense got to stop. He's gonna call his own number, and he's gonna let the fucking ball go. Oh my goodness, OSU has the ball right back. The defense held him to a field goal. I ain't gonna lie, we were some play action artists this time. He found a lane up the middle, and he picks up the first down after making a man miss. Quick RPO to our tight end up the hashes. I don't know how the fuck he caught that, and he's still rumbling up those hashes. Boy, that's a big nigga right there. Anyways, gonna take the shotgun snap, and he's gonna loft it over to the tight end, and the boys are up 11 early. And the defense did not get another stop. They fucking let him score again, and now the lead's only 4 points, but he's got his man again on that deep crosser to the left, and the boys were up again right back in OSU territory. He drops another fucking dime, and the boys are up 2 scores again. Rolling back out to the right side, he's gonna look for a man, and he's got him right in the middle of that field. That's a first down, but there's only 43 seconds left, and the boys wouldn't end up scoring before half, so they go into halftime up 11 points, and OSU came out the gate and scored. It was 18-21. Our boy took a 3,000 fucking step drop, but he's leaving the pocket again, and he's trying to find a man, and it ends up getting caught. Fuck you talking about? Hey, 7-yard gain, we'll take it. Gonna go buck sweep right back out to the right, and our boy's fucking gone. He put the fucking bursters on them niggas. Holy shit. He didn't get a finger laid on him, and the boys were right back up 10 points once again. Very next drive, our boy Miles is going to heave that bitch back over the middle, and they were right back deep in OSU territory, and he's going to call his own name on the QB option. He's going to take it straight up the pussy for about 7 yards. The boys were held to 3 that drive, and our receiver dropped this easy-ass catch on this fucking crosser over the middle, sorry-ass nigga. And we ended up scoring the field goal that drive, and Oklahoma wouldn't have any timeouts left, and the boys would pick up an 18-34 victory. And the boys were hot going into the bye week at 4-0 and the number 1 seed. But y'all already know what time it is. It's revenge week for the team that cut him his freshman year, and he was trying to put BTA on them boys for how they fucking did him. Anyway, first play, he's in the shotgun, finds his man outside, and boy, he's down those sidelines again with a punch him in the mouth early. He's gonna pitch it to the right side to his running back, and the ball is out, and Georgia's on it, and boy, they took advantage of that opportunity, and the boys were down 7-0 in a hurry. He hit his tight end down on this large streak, and they were deep in Georgia territory fast, though. They answered real quick. He's gonna call his own number out to the right side. He's got a little bit of space. He's inside the 15, the 10, the 5, stiff arms of the defender. He's inside the 3-yard line, and the boys would end up finishing that drive off. But the Dogs answered back fast as fuck. But anyway, he's gonna find this man right outside on those right numbers, and he's back up the sideline again. Boy, this was a back and forth game in the first quarter. Very next play, they're gonna play action right back out to the right side and find this man coming across on the numbers, and the boys tied the game up just that fast. Boy, there were fireworks going off left and right. Very next play, diving catch by our tight end over the middle. What a fucking catch, and he took a lick, but he got right back up. He's right back outside the right side of that pocket, and you know you can't give him any space, but he's gonna hit his man right back up those numbers. He's back in Georgia territory. Gonna take the snap, and they're gonna run a screenplay. He bounces off a tackle, and he's right back up, and the boys would tie the game up at 21. Georgia would answer right back, and the score would be 21-28 heading into halftime. Georgia was giving them anything they wanted. The defense came clutch and stopped them coming out of halftime, and he was right back over the middle. He finds our boy for a nice 20-yard gain. Very next play, he's right back in the shotgun, and he's going to take up off the sideline. Boy, he's in the 50, the 45, the 40, cuts back at the 35. He's inside the 30-yard line, and the boys were rolling down the field. He's going to take it right back up the cooch again for about 8. Very next play, he's going to hand it off to our running back, and he's straight up the gut again, makes the defender miss, and he's inside the 5-yard line. He's going to drop back, and he's going to run right back up the middle, and the boys were tied at 28 just like that. Boy, when I wasn't lying when I told you this game was action-packed. Anyway, he's going to find our man on the crossing route. He's going to fight and get yards. He's going to pick up the first down heading into the fourth quarter. The game was tied, and the boys needed a score, and the defense was finally starting to get some consistent stops, and he lobs it up for his receiver, and he comes down with it, and the boys have the lead in the first play of the fourth quarter. And boy, they were looking hot this time, and the defense ended up getting another stop. He's right back in the shotgun, heaving that bitch back up one more time, and he came down with it again on 3rd and 13, right back deep in Dogs territory. He finds his man over the middle, and just like that, they were back up 2 scores with 42 points, and the defense would get another stop, and the game was essentially over with 2 minutes left, but he wasn't done lighting their ass up. He finds his man right back down the sidelines. They're right back in Dogs territory. He wanted to lay one more nail in the coffin right before he's right back outside on the right side. The defender wasn't fast enough. Jukes that nigga out of his fucking jock strap, gets his ass again, and he's inside the 5-yard line at the 1, and our boy would end up finishing the drive off outside, and they would pick up a huge 3-score dub over their rivals and the team that cut our 5-star QB right before his sophomore year. And then the whole nation was taking notice on that shit too. The whole nation knew that he was the best dual threat quarterback anybody had ever seen in a long time. Boys came in at number 1 and 5-0, ready to beat up on a 2-4 Vanderbilt team. Now they had a big game against their SEC rival LSU. First snap of the game, they tried to send the blitz, and he's right up in that pocket, and he's down the sideline again to the 40, the 45, the 50, and he's knocked out of bounds at the 45 in LSU territory. Drops back again. He finds his man deep down those numbers for about a 30-yard gain, and he's going to call his own number again, and our lineman's out there getting pancakes, and he went untouched, and the boys were up 7-0. LSU would end up getting the field goal and play action right, and our boy had some fucking daylight. He's outside on that right side. He'd make a man miss downfield, and the boys were deep in LSU territory fast. And he's going to play action one more time, and he would start playing ring around the rosy on these niggas as he finds room up the left side, and he's putting the bursters on these niggas again, and he makes a defender miss, and he's out of bounds with the first down, and he handed off to his running back to finish off the drive and go up 14-3. Very next drive, he'd come back out and play action, take his 3-step drop and take a couple steps back away from the pressure, and he'd heave it over the middle, and it'd be complete for about a 30-yard gain. But boy, on this next drive, he'd run into his own fucking running back, and he'd end up getting sacked, and the ball would come loose, but our lineman would pick it up. We lost hella yards, but we kept possession of the ball, though. Right back to the next play. Deep in LSU territory, he'd find a convoy out to the right side, and he'd go into the end zone untouched to give the boys an 18-point lead. Right back to the next play, he'd find room out to the right side, and he would end up stiff-arming the defender for about a gain of 7. Right back, and he'd hit his man over the middle and give the boys a 28-3 lead, and the boys were fucking storming on LSU. And they win the game in blowout fashion, 38-6, and they were still undefeated on the season. And the head coach couldn't be more thrilled at his 5-star quarterback for taking them through this run. The boys will win their next 2 games, and they were on to play Tennessee unranked, and they were 5-4, so they should be able to get an easy win and end up 10-0. First play of the game, he'd hand the ball off to his running back off the right side, and he would find a lane up those numbers, and they gassed Tennessee early with it. And he'd take it all the way for a touchdown, and the boys were up 7-0 early. Very next drive, Tennessee would answer their opening score, and he'd find his tight end deep up the seam for a huge gain, and they were back in Tennessee territory fast. And the very next play, he'd find his man on the right side, and the boys had their 7-point lead right back. Tennessee would answer once again. The boys ended up missing the PAT, but he'd find his man on the right side, and they were right back inside the 10-yard line. He would then call his own number out to the right side, and he'd find the lane, and the boys were back up 20-14. Tennessee would answer again. The defense didn't have an answer, but he would call his own number, and boy, that nigga left these niggas in the dust. He didn't get touched all the way for about a 70-yard touchdown to get the boys the lead back. Defense would finally get a fucking stop, and if it ain't broke, don't fix it. He's right back up the field, and he wouldn't get touched, and the boys were up 13 in a matter of seconds. Defense let Tennessee cut the score to 5, but he ended up finding his man for another touchdown. The boys had 40 points and a 12-point lead once again. Also, once again, Tennessee would cut the deficit to 5, and he'd roll outside, and he'd find a man deep down the sidelines and make Tennessee have to use their final timeout, and all they had to do was get in the end zone again, and the boys were going to come out with a win. Hey, them Tennessee boys fought hard as hell, but Alabama just wanted more, and the boys were still undefeated on the season. And boy, who could stop Alabama? Our boy ended up winning SEC Player of the Week and the National Player of the Week for the second time this season, as they roll on to play number 21 Oklahoma the following week. And on the first play of the game, they started out deep in their own territory, and our boy Miles made a costly mistake by throwing it out of bounds. And Oklahoma will start with a 2-0 lead. And then OU's offense will make it a 9-0 lead, and the boys found themselves down 2 scores early, but that wouldn't faze Miles as he'd go right back down the field with a deep completion, and deep in OU territory, he'd take the snap and find room out to the right side. He'd dodge a defender, and he was up the sideline into the end zone, and the boys were finally on the board, cutting it down to a 2-score lead. On the very next drive, our boy would go play action again, and he would find his man on the deep post, and just like that, the boys had a 5-point lead. And boy, can this Bama offense answer quick, fast, and in a hurry. But my nigga Miles wasn't even close to done, as he'd roll out to the right side, and he'd heave that bitch right back up the right side deep, and he'd have another man, and they were set up right back in 1st and goal. Then he'd call his own number again on the option. He'd take it right up the middle and give the boys their 2-score lead. The boys would go play action one more time. He'd find his tight end up the seam, and they'd end up answering on the very next play. Not this play, the one after it. He'd go up the middle, and he tried to fight to get in that end zone, but they'd bend him backwards. And on the very next play, he'd roll out to the right side, and the boys were up 9-28, and all of a sudden, they were rolling over OU going into halftime. And on this play, it was low-key pure magic, as our boy roll out to the left side, and he'd stand by the numbers, and he'd end up firing it deep. deep just to get the ball out, and he threw up a prayer, and it ended up being complete. And the boys had first and goal, where our boy would call his own number to the left side. He'd outrun that fat fucking, he'd juke, and he'd fight and break the pylon. And the boys, yeah, the game was a fucking blowout. Anyways, the pocket would collapse. He's right back outside us hashes, and he's right up the right sideline, and he makes a defender miss all the way up, and he's cut down inside the 30-yard line. He's gonna take the snap again on the very next play, and he almost went upfield, and he still ran around that defender. Look at how fast he is. I mean, the boys were up 35-16. I don't even know why Miles is still in the game, but he found his man on the deep dig, and he fighting go inside the end zone, and the boys would end up rolling over OU 23-42. And boy, the nation was taking notice of this Bama team, and there's nothing that could stop them, you'd think, right? So after picking up another brand deal, our boy would get his third SEC Player of the Game and National Player of the Game heading into Week 13 versus Auburn, and they were unranked, so hey, we probably could get a stomping going on these niggas. But I went in and upgraded a couple of his attributes because we had damn near 650 attribute points. But the boys ended up taking that L to Auburn, but they were still ranked in the top 10, and they only had one loss to their name. But little did Miles know that would be his last game of the season going into the SEC championship against Texas A&M. And our boy was even at the top of the Heisman ranking still. But our Heisman candidate would end up getting demoted due to his academic GPA falling below a 2.0. And that would send his season into a brief halt. And waking up the next morning before the SEC championship, he would get the devastating news that he would not be the starting quarterback. And then Coach Swinney had the nerve to offer my nigga some barbecue, and then he had mandatory like detention type shit or mandatory study hall. So yeah, it would be the backup quarterback who would get the start against Texas A&M. And boy, hey, this was Bama's first time going into their games without their leader, and this was the biggest game of the fucking season, bro. They did our boy Miles a small solid and still let him dress out, even though he would not be playing, but he was still there for his teammates for support and to coach up the new starting quarterback, so they would still be able to come home with that SEC trophy. And he's really trying his best not to let it get the best of him, because he knows he has to still be there for his team, because they can still go out and get a ring even if they don't have our leader. But it was going to be very tough because he was literally the top Heisman candidate in college football. But despite being down there Heisman QB, Bama would surprisingly hold a 7-0 lead going into the fourth quarter, and our defense was playing the hero, and they ended up shutting out Texas A&M throughout the first three quarters. But sooner rather than later, Texas A&M would go on their own drive and make it just a 1-point deficit for them. But Bama would hold on and get a field goal right at the end, and the boys were going to be your SEC championships by a low-ass score of 6-10. But they knew they were going to have to score more than 10 points if they were going to come home with their back-to-back national championship titles. But that would be hard because, like I said, Miles wouldn't be playing because he was still on academic suspension, even though he got his GPA back up to a 2.2. But all that mattered in the current moment was that Bama was the undisputed SEC champions.
I think that's going to be the challenge for this group.
They still
That'll wrap up our coverage
for the national championship, and it still looked like nobody could stop them. But now comes the time we've all been waiting for. Who was gonna come home with the Heisman Trophy? Even though our boy Miles is on the top of the Heisman candidate watch list, he still had three other quarterback peers from Texas, LSU, and also North Texas. But now is officially time for the final pick.
This season, the Heisman Memorial Trophy is awarded to sophomore quarterback out of Alabama, and one final congratulations to the newest member of the Heisman Trophy fraternity. This season will forever be known as his Heisman season.
And along with the Heisman Championship trophy, he would get every big prestigious award in college football. But the only thing was, he still was not the starting quarterback heading into the Peach Bowl against Notre Dame. But they were on a tear, and it looked like Alabama wouldn't even need him to get their second ring in the second year to become back-to-back national champions. It seemed like he had put all this hard work in for no reason, but like he's patting his teammates on the shoulder. That just shows you a lot about the character of Miles Johnson and why he's such a prestigious quarterback in America, as they're going to run out of the tunnel and get ready to fight for their lives, because boy, they sure needed Miles Johnson if there was any other game, because now it was win or go home against one of the best teams in the nation. Hey, that shit Notre Dame mascot be doing ugly as hell. Like, that nigga's a real cornball. But anyway, hopping straight into the gameplay. Notre Dame would punch the defending champs in the mouth and go up 7-0 early, and Bama's offense was finally stymied and met its match without their QB1 Heisman winner, Miles Johnson. They could only manage a field goal through the first 3 quarters, and then Notre Dame would put the final nail in the coffin heading into the fourth quarter, going up 18 points, and Bama's all that hard work their season would come to an abrupt end against the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. So after that heartbreaking Chick-fil-A Bowl loss, the boys would end the season as the number 3 seed in 12-2, and our boy would end up with over 3,800 passing yards and 34 touchdowns with only 5 interceptions thrown to his name, which was one of the best seasons in Alabama history. But hey, y'all know that get back a motherfucker, because you know he's gonna come back his junior year with a fire on his shoulder to get that get back. And they're gonna have to play Notre Dame again, because they're gonna be ranked right up there. Alabama's gonna be ranked, and he knew this story did not define him. But if y'all did enjoy this, make sure y'all like, comment, and subscribe, and come back for part 2. Peace.